What is your I don't get paid enough for this speep moment? Being told that I ruined a woman's Christmas because the supermarket I worked at was out of brandy-infused marmalade. When I was 18 and working at a retail store, a baby in his mother's arms took a speep so massive that his diaper couldn't contain it. A bunch ended up on the floor, and the mother ran away. I was not paid enough for that literal speep. I worked for a small college. The president's secretary thought that most things were above her pay grade, and at one of the busiest times of the year for my office decided that I should put in 80 hours to clean her data and get something she needed done. After getting it finished, she decided that she wanted the whole thing changed. I broke down. I went to the doctor in the midst of a full-blown panic attack and was given a note for 2 weeks off work, which meant they had to use what I did or do it themselves. I came back to work and resigned. I used to be a counselor at a methadone clinic. Had a client who was going to prison for slitting the throats of his ex-wife's beloved Rottweilers because I couldn't kill her and it was the best way to hurt her. The day he was supposed to go to prison, he showed up at the clinic. After dosing hours, demanding his dose. He was no longer on the clinic, so legally there was no way to do this. I stood behind the counter and tried to explain the situation to him. He grew more and more irate and then called his lawyer and put me on the phone with him. His lawyer explained dude didn't show up for prison, was now a fugitive and had pulled a knife on his own sister in her car just outside my clinic. So, dude had a knife. Lawyer told me not to piss dude off. He was violent and to call the cops. By this point, every other therapist and office worker had mosied the beep out. So, I told the lawyer thanks, hung up the phone and mosied the beep out of the front office and called the cops from the break room. Dude hopped over the counter and trashed the place and left. The bosses asked why I didn't stay and make sure he didn't trash the place. I explained they paid me $10.50 an hour and refused my raise. I was the only man in the building and was left alone with an armed violent felon. Beep their stuff. Edit. I also worked at Blockbuster in college for chump change. A bunch of dudes shoplifted the beep out of us, and when me and the other guy confronted them about it, they ran out of the door. District manager asked why I didn't put myself between them and the door to protect the merchandise. I told them for minimum wage I'm not putting myself in danger to keep a giant corporation from losing some Twizzlers and a copy of Friday and Armageddon. After 4 months of not seeing my family because I was working full-time and only getting 1 day off a week, I finally quit without notice when they were gonna make me close last Thanksgiving. I had already requested and approved the day off a month prior. I left and never came back. The GM even tried pulling the "you can't quit, you're fired" ahaha. Manager at a grocery store I worked in my teens refused to pay the waste management bill for several months. When they finally came and emptied the dumpster, there were still mounds of trash laying about around the area. He had me go out and clean all of it up alone. I didn't have any protective gear or supplies whatsoever, and was out in 100-degree weather. I was only given a bunch of trash bags to put it into, and when I went in to ask for help, I was just given a shovel. I worked one more day after that, and after just being given more work to do without so much as a good job or thanks, I never went back. I used to work at Old Country Buffet, and there were kids who would eat until they threw up like all the time. This one case that is seared into my mind was when I was once fixing up the salad bar and I heard Billy run, screamed from an ignorant parent, and then I see this 12-ish-year-old boy running to the bathroom. Only he didn't make it. An unholy amount of undigested red jello came exploded out of him like a beeping volcano all over the Caesar salad, the floor next to the cash register, and on about 5 or 6 diners waiting in line to get in. It looked like he had literally vomited his guts out in an arc about 10 feet in diameter. I had to sweep up the chunks with a broom until a dishwasher with a mop could take care of the rest. Plumber. Owner of a mobile home called and said they had a stinky yard. I could smell it when I pulled up. The mobile home was new and had only been set up for about 8 months. While setting it up, someone didn't tighten a no-hub band of the toilet in the kids' bathroom. 8 months of flushed toilet was all over the ground, under the home, and had just started being noticed outside. I told the homeowner to call the guys that set it up to come fix it. I wasn't crawling under there. When I was a 9-1-1 telecommunicator, taking all those suicide calls, domestics with children, medical calls, people dying, officers getting shot, etc. Did it for 16 years before enough was enough. Barista. Grabby customer grabs drink on the counter, tastes it, says, "This isn't mine." I ordered a vanilla latte. "This is also iced." I proceed to tell her it's clearly not her drink she picked up then. Am currently making Grabby's drink. Then have to double back to make the previous drink for the customer it was originally intended for. Again. 8 hours a day. 5 days a week. Customer service should definitely be paid more. When a thick stream of sweat drained out of this girl's cell phone case, I had to explain to her that her phone had water damage and that she shouldn't work out with her phone in her bra. All the while trying to be professional and not gag while cleaning the mess. I sold phones at Sprint. I worked at a heating and air conditioning company doing bookkeeping. I was being trained by the company's accountant. If I made a mistake, the owner would literally scream at me full voice. I overheard him talking to his brother, and his brother had told him not to scream at me. The owner said, "You have to tear them down to build them up." I decided I wasn't going to take another day of his screaming after that. I ran the entire company's financials and general management for 14/HR. I had a meeting with the owner telling him I need a raise and to hire an assistant. He told me I wasn't business-minded and should be a stay-at-home mom. I quit the next day. Bagging groceries at a major supermarket. The manager came over to tell me that I needed to clean up the bathroom. An elderly gentleman fell off the toilet while pooping, and it was a literal speep show. Apparently I was the most qualified because I was 16. I was handed a broom and a dustpan. I speep you not sorry had to. My reward for going above and beyond the call of duty? $5 in store coupons. Sometimes dreams really do come true. First day at the health department. I'm left at the reception desk alone while literally everyone else in the office went out to a farewell lunch for the person I was replacing. As I was on 90-day probation. Wasn't yet licensed and badged. My pay was $7.96/HR. I'm sitting at reception, and some redneck comes in with a leaking garbage bag and drops it on my desk. It contains a newly beheaded javelina head. His buddy had been bitten, and it needed to be tested for rabies ASAP. I had no beeping clue what to do with a leaking garbage bag of javelina head. He couldn't wait for others to return, so he left a number and split. Turns out, we don't do that sort of thing at the health department. Guy refused to come back. While working as a student custodian on campus, I had to clean vomit out of a urinal. There is no easy, not gross way of cleaning that. Not worth the minimum wage. When I was doing 90% of my boss job in hopes of a full-time promotion that I had been promised for 3 years, and he took all the credit and told me my promotion wasn't in the budget. Worked at a retail store. Fiends would come in occasionally looking to steal speep, and the worst we could do legally was ask them to leave, but my boss insisted we get physical with them. To which I obviously told her beep no. I watched her chase one out of the store one day, and she screams at me since I'm standing by the door like tackle him, and I'm like no LMAO undefined. I worked at Circuit City when I was 17. Heard a noise of packaging being opened in the movie section. Found a guy crouched down cutting open DVD boxes and stealing the discs. He looked at me, held his knife out and said, "Got a problem?" I just replied, "I don't get paid enough for this speep," and backed off. I went to the back room of the warehouse area to call a manager to tell them what happened. Never could get a hold of anyone, so I just chilled in the warehouse area for a half hour to